welcome to our next episode, our current episode, our future episode, because you'll be seeing this tomorrow or sometime this week. One Cardinal, one Cub, and one beer. We are your hosts. This is JJ, the eye candy, and I am Vincent, the spinach. The gross quiche that your grandma made that you had to eat. That's what I bring to this show.
The backbone of the show right there, ladies and gentlemen.
The backbone
the
was
MC.
scoliosis. Yes, that's me. So, hey, before we get started, please like us on Facebook. You can contact us through onecard1cup1beer@gmail.com. For those of you who are watching us on the YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button so you will have our content as soon as we drop it. You can support our efforts on Patreon. You just go to patreon.com, search for One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, and you can see all of our levels of support from $3, $5 to $10 a month. If you'd like to be a contestant on a trivia contest, a guest on a panel, if you have an interesting baseball-related topic, if you have something that's a little bit different like our guest later on will have today, contact us, let us know. We'd love to have you as a guest because we love our people who watch us and listen to us on the podcast. We like those type of people to be on our show. JJ, how are you doing?
It's late August. We're almost through with August, Vince. It's turned hot. Man, I think I got up to 98 degrees today. It's very humid down here in Washington County. We've had some spot thunderstorms and everything. I hope everybody's okay out there. Be careful, but it has turned hot. Last week it got unseasonably cool, and it's just been tough for the players, man. They're in the dog days of summer, and people are pulling hamstrings, getting hurt, fatigue in the shoulders. It's going to be the last man standing, and we got about 5 weeks to go. I'm excited, Vince. I not so much for our teams, but for baseball, it's going to be great.
I have to mow tomorrow.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the writing, and that's no problem because like 40 minutes of it, I'm writing.
Oh, okay.
It's the pushing when I have to do the push mowing. And then we have this area that's got so many tree roots coming out.
You got to go around and
I have to take the weed whacker out there and do that area. So
we'll get there early. Get starting early in the morning, man, before the heat hits.
I have a pork butt that is going on the smoker about 4:30 in the morning. So I'll be
you get up that early, 4:30 in the morning. My goodness.
Yeah, I usually get up early. I'm an extreme morning person. I don't do late nights well. That's one of the problems I had in comedy. I did comedy contests where I always seemed to be on they would have like an early show and then a late show. I always got picked to be on the late show. One time I even said, "This isn't fair. I'm an old man and you're putting me on past my bedtime." I said that when that's how I started my set as a protest. I'm old. Get off my lawn.
Oh man, yeah. I'm a midnight person. I like staying up all night. That's how I've always been.
Not me. JJ, I have a very special beer corner.
Ooh, beer corner.
Yes, and I got this at our local Schnucks. The beer I have is called Oktoberfestus.
I'll be darned, never heard of that. That must be a local brewery there.
From Millen, Maine. If you go downtown Festus on Main Street, there's a really great restaurant called Millen, Maine, and they have a microbrewery there, and they do their own beer, and they sell it in the local Schnucks. So I like the name Oktoberfestus. This is, it says it's biscuity, toasted malt with notes of caramel. So let me tell you a little bit about Maine and Mill Brewing Company. It's a family-owned neighborhood brewery restaurant that offers a rotating selection of handcrafted beers, American Pub Fare, down in the old street of Festus, Missouri. Not only is the beer great, the food is excellent. They opened at the corner of Main and Mill in 2014. They've been serving beers and burgers ever since. It is a hub of community activity. They do concerts. They have done comedy shows there. They regularly host fundraisers, trivia, the annual Street Fest, just about any other reason that they can find to gather their neighbors and have a good time. Main and Mill is there doing that. Their main floor consists of a bar, a friendly dining room. The upstairs has a tap room with a large newly covered deck. You can eat inside and outside. You don't want to eat outside today. So come on into Main and Mill for a cold one. And I am doing their Oktoberfest this
Oh,
year
all
here.
right. I
And
always like the local businesses. That's very cool, man.
I'll tell you, while I'm pouring this, I'll tell you a funny story. This is about, I guess it's about 2014, 2015. So it's about 10 years ago. Um, when I take my family out to eat, 5 kids,
Woo.
it's quite an expense.
Yes, sir.
So Tabitha wasn't with us. She was in California at the time. She an adult. So, but I took the other four. Me and my wife went to Maine and Bill, and it's not cheap to eat there, especially not cheap when you have like a 13, 14-year-old Max ordering the most expensive thing on the menu, which he did. He ordered, I think it was salmon. I was like, oh man, it's like, I think we spent close to $200 there.
Oh man,
Yeah,
for supper. Oh,
I took him home and I beat him. I didn't do that.
with the salmon.
Yeah, so anyway, as you can see, it is a dark,
Oh, yes.
uh, it's a dark, I don't know if this is an ale. I think it's an ale. But anyway, it's dark, so you can tell it's got the caramel in it. So let's see what we got here.
All right. Be honest now.
I'm gonna give this a 2.5.
Two and a
Um,
half. That's in the middle, right there, and it's
it's
solid.
it is a darker ale, and it's a little too bitter for my taste. But I can see how people who like this would like it, so I give it a 2.5. So very good. How's fantasy league going?
Oh, fantasy league. I tell you what.
Like flies.
Yes, and I tell you what, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up because here we are, 5 days left in the month. We tape on Tuesdays. So we have 5 days. I didn't say games because there's some double hitters in there. There's days off, but there's 5 days. And the whoever is the last man standing meet the World Series in September. So let's start over in the American League. Last place, the White Sox. Dan Rutledge, who's been a very good supporter of the show. We don't want to give him too much grief, but 31 and 101, the second fastest team to 100 losses. They were eliminated about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they are 43 games back. So, Dan, thanks for playing, but your team stinks. Fifth place in the American League, the Angels, and that's Candy Barks and her son. They were like co-managers, 19 and a half back, and they were eliminated about 2 or 3 weeks ago as well. Then we get up to the fourth place team, and that's the Detroit Tigers, and that's Tony Pruno, 66 and 66. Kind of what yes, goodbye, Tony Pruno. Thank you for playing. I've been in some fantasy leagues with Tony, and he's won quite a few championships, so I don't feel too sorry for him. Yeah. 8 games back. Fourth place. In third place, our beer man, been on the show before, Andrew Gieselman, 67 and 65, 7 games back, but with 5 days to go, they've been eliminated. Number 2, our good friend Ray Hartman, a great guy, a big supporter of the show, 6.5 out. They have been eliminated. So that leaves the number 1 team in the American League out there. Goodbye, Ray. Number
I can't
one.
fly that fast. Okay.
I'm sorry. I get sped up. I get excited. The champion of the American League is the Kansas City Royals. And me and you both have a soft spot for the Royals. Good for the Royals. And in the real baseball, they're a team in there battling for a wild card spot. And they're right on the Guardians' heels to win the division win that division. So that could be very exciting. But they ended up 6.5 game lead with 5 to go. They have clinched. They're 74 and 58, and that's Mr. Brody Jackson, who you guys know, who comes on here every once in a while. That kid, something's wrong with him. Anyway, so we got Kansas City Royals in the American League side. Now we go over to the National League side. Last place. They've been in last place most of the season. The Colorado Rockies. That's Brandon Schmidt up there in Cincinnati. We gave him an opportunity to switch teams, and he wanted to he stuck with his Colorado Rockies. They are 25 and a half games out. They've been eliminated for a while. Number 5, Tom Maget, who watches every Saturday. He always takes time out of his schedule Saturday to watch the show. He's the Washington Nationals, and they're 15 and a half out, so he's been eliminated. Then we work up to the number 4 team in the National League, Pittsburgh Pirates. Dennis Rose, good guy. Really, he watches the show every week too. He's 12 games out. Then we get to our teams, the Cardinals and the Cubs. Well, right now the Cardinals are in third at 65 and 67, and they are 9.5 back with 5 to go by Cardinals. And that's our good friend Kevin Lee. I know.
Very
Oh,
good.
it hurts. The 2 years in a row now we've not made the playoffs. And the second place team is the Chicago Cubs, 66 and 66, 8.5 games back. But I know, Vince, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's Larry Wildy. So that just leaves one team, and that's the San Diego Padres, who were always last year very underachieved. They had Soto and Snell, and both team guys leave, and they're even better this year. And Mike Schill has done a good job with them, and they are 75 and 55. And that's Robbie Spear, who he's won some of our contests, always enters everything. Super great guy, and they are 75 and 58. So really, the Royals and San Diego if you put their records against each other, San Diego would only be a half game ahead of the Royals, so they're pretty evenly matched as far as win losses. So starting Sunday, the 1st, starts our first World Series, and every win counts as a run. So at the end, they could end up in a tie, and I'll have something for both teams. But whoever wins the most games in September will be our first world champion, and this could be fun. So September is going to be fun for Fantasy League as we're down to the Royals, Kansas City, Midwest team versus a West Coast team, and the San Diego Padres. And that could be the World Series this year, Vince. It could be.
The Royals have a legitimate shot of having the best record in the American League.
Who would have thought?
Not a great shot, but they do have a legitimate shot, which is like, who would have thought that?
No. And all the money and so they lose Snell, and the Padres lost Snell and Soto. Soto goes to the evil, over to the Yankees, and they have a shot at catching the Dodgers. They really have a legitimate shot at catching the Dodgers, and the Dodgers spent $1 billion. So this could
I
be
think that Mike Schill was the perfect manager for that team because he's a player's manager. That's that. I mean, the players love him, and I think him taking over. I think there was a lot of egos because they had a lot of stars for a few years: Machado, Tatis, Soto, Snell, and he got what was left after Snell and Soto left, and he calmed them down. Hey, we're going to play together. We're going to work at this together. And he's just been the perfect manager for that team. So I'm not surprised that the San Diego's doing good. I was more surprised the last few years when they underachieved. But
yes.
this year, I think is a good indication of who they really are. They've been a good team for a while, and they did have a pretty decent playoff run. Was it a year or two ago?
Yes. And their
But
bullpen, Vince, that bullpen scares me. Cleveland's and San Diego's bullpen, if it's a tight game in the end, you're up. It's going to be a rough one right there. That and in the playoffs, that's really what it comes down to. Usually, it's bullpen games and separates the two teams right there. And I think San Diego's prime, good hitting, great defense, great coaching, and that bullpen. Look out, man. So,
JJ,
yes, sir.
I know you have memories that exceed this as far as being a Cardinal fan is related to the greatest moments in Cardinal history. But for some reason, this, I think, is my greatest memory of Cardinal baseball.
Okay.
And it happened 42 years ago this week. So maybe tonight.
Oh, I might. remember what it was.
You know what it is?
Was it involved a stolen base?
Yes.
And did it involve the most unlikely person stealing?
Yes, it did.
You want to
It
go ahead and take it from there?
it came on my Facebook today. It said that it
Oh,
was the anniversaries, but I didn't check to see how old it was. I was too enamored with watching the video because I love the video. Glenn Brummer, backup catcher for the Cardinals, not known for his speed. They're playing the Giants. They're in this pennant race with the Phillies in 1982, and the Giants are in town. And I don't remember who's pitching for the Giants, but Brummer is on third base. I think it's the 10th inning. And I know I read the story that he told the third base coach, he's not even looking at me talking about the pitcher. There's a left-hander on the mound. Pitcher wasn't even. Why would you look back at the third? You know, you got the
yeah.
backup catcher there. So Brummer got a huge jump, and in the video you can't see the jump. You can just see him. The batter fortunately saw it coming, moved out of the way, and he was safe by a mile. Stole home. Cardinals won, and that was the fulcrum that just pushed them through September, and they won the World Series in '82.
I
But
remember when that happened, I was amazed, like what? And the umpire never called a ball or strike. I think there was two strikes on the batter. He threw a pitch, but it caught everybody off guard. And here come Brummer. The story behind that is his wife was in the stands, and she says, "Hey, I got a plane to make." She was looking at the watch, and he said, "Hang on a second." That supposedly is the story. His wife was complaining that she had to get to the airport and the game was going long. Back then, we didn't have the pitch clock. And Brummer just took it upon himself and stole home. And I think it's Mike Shannon on the call. And it's just pandemonium, folks. If you get a chance, I know it never lives up to what it, because you're listening to it again. But when it was happening live, it's just the most far-fetched thing you thought would happen. What a memory. Thanks for bringing it up, Vince. That is a great moment in baseball and Cardinal history for sure.
the next day, went to football practice. I was in high school, and that's all anyone talked about for 2.5 hours of football practice. Stretching. That's what they're talking about. Going through the hitting drills. That's what they're talking about. Nobody's talking about football, thinking about football. And I will give it to our coaches. I mean, they could focus us for the task, but they kind of let the players
Enjoy
enjoy
it.
the moment. That I thought that was pretty cool of the coaches. And yeah, I'm not always the fondest of football coaches. So
Oh yeah, they're rough, man.
yeah, so
With that stolen base though, Glenn Brummer is like a legend now in St. Louis. I mean, his time would have come and gone, and few of us would have remembered him. But from that moment on, soon as you say the name Glenn Brummer, you mention that stolen base. It's still, and here we are, what, 42 years later, and people are still remembering it and talking about it. Very cool, man.
it's like when we were kids and older generations would talk about Enos Slaughter's Mad Dash. You know,
Yes.
you you thought, boy, I wish we would have been around for that. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. Now when we talk about it, younger baseball fans say, that would have been pretty cool to see, you
That
know?
would have,
So,
for me, the Chicago equivalent is the Ryan Sandberg game
oh yeah,
against Bruce Sutter. I still like Bruce Sutter. I mean, Hall of Famer. But what we didn't know was Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Famer. And that from that minute on, everybody in St. Louis knew the name Ryan Sandberg after
yeah,
that
that
game.
that was his coronation onto the national stage.
Oh, yes.
We did.
Vince, can I bring something up? We have a working relationship with our good friends. I'm going to show this little card here, a little sticker I have, a Boys Dreams Hobby Shop in Caledonia, Missouri. And they're fantastic. And I just like to say, this is our not happy 97th episode, Vince. This is our 97th episode. And our 100th episode, we're going to do some special things. We're going to have a big round table and talk to some of our we're going to try to split it evenly with Cubs and Cardinal fans. It's going to be a fun, just talk about the state of the game and everything. By that time, the playoffs will be real close. But a Boys Dream Hobby Shop has given us a Tommy Herr autograph ball. And all you have to do is go over, like their Facebook page, or subscribe to it. Let me know, and I will put you, or Vince know, and I will put you in the in a fishbowl. And on 100th episode, we are going to draw for this. We'll have an autograph card and an 8x10, all signed by Tommy Herr, authenticated for your collection. So I think that's pretty cool. And they've had players come down there. I know coming up soon. David Freese will be there. And the last time Brad Juliet was on the show, he announced Jose Canseco. Who would have thought Jose Canseco to Caledonia, Missouri? But I'm getting my Canseco cards together as we speak. I'm very excited about that. He was the Bash Brothers and Date Madonna. I mean, we could go on and on about this cat. But if any of your needs, instead of driving all the way to St. Louis, go over to Caledonia. See Brad Juliet, the whole staff. They'll take care of you. They have specials on their Facebook page where you buy a chance and they open cards and you can win some really nice autographs and things like that. They've got some stuff I didn't even know of, and I'm a pretty diehard collector. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents about a Boys Dreams hobby shop. Get down there. Tell Brad you've seen it, his advertisement on our podcast, and he'll hook you up real good. So
And
that's my.
I'll tell you, me and JJ got in the car a couple years ago, and we visited all the card shops in the St. Louis area.
Yes, we did.
And they're all fine.
Yeah.
This is not to disparage any of them, but what Brad has going in Caledonia is top notch. It's very good. It is worth the drive. And I I when I went to Caledonia and looked at this, I was thinking I was going to see a Family Dollar version of a. I'm just being honest, Brad. That's what I thought I'd be walking into. I was blown away, and the quality of individuals he gets in there to do these signings is tremendous. The reach that he has of people who are driving to go to this because it is worth it. It's just a great place to go to, and I don't know. We have rules because I know my wife won her name in that fishbowl, but
Put her in there. We're gonna right now. We already have 14 people, and her. That's 14 we already have in there, and that's great. Maybe we'll draw 3 different names: one for the card, one for the ball, one for the picture. And that way, more of our fans can at least get something signed by Tommy Herr.
I'm not sure if it's like if people would think it was nepotism, but I assure you, my wife is about to kick my butt to the curb. So it should be fine. So
Hey, and we all understand that. We got to make the wife's happy,
oh, JJ, yesterday I had an impromptu luncheon to go to. It's only like a couple days warning. So I was not able to turn on the game to watch Danny Jansen become the first player to play for both teams in the same game. But it happened on Monday. The suspended game from June when he was with the Blue Jays was picked up. He is now with the Red Sox. Red Sox playing the Blue Jays. So he played for both teams in the same game. Not only that, in the game, George Springer early in the game, like in June, he had a 7th home run. Later in the game, Monday, he had his 19th home run. So the box score says home runs, Springer 2, 7 off so and so 19. You will never see a box score like that again. That is so cool. So.
Oh my gosh, fantastic! Yeah, you won't see that. Or Joe Youngblood did something where he played for each team in a double hitter. He walked across and played for the other team. I think it was the Mets and the Reds, but not both teams the same game.
Yeah, he played for 2 teams in one day.
Yes, that's remarkable right there.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Vince, did you see the Little League World Series?
I was just going to bring that up.
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Vince, I kept an eye on the scores, and I think that stadium they have down there is wonderful. I like that the big leaguers go down there and play a game and interact with the little leaguers. But it's so fascinating, these young players. Vince, when I was 12 years old, I would have been a nervous wreck with the cameras and the crowds cheering like that. And these kids have, man, it's just a different breed. They're so calm, collected, and cool, and their skill level. I'm amazed at these young kids, how good they are. And Sunday, I watched the Chinese Japan or Taiwan or yeah, play Florida, and let me tell you, it was 1-0. Going into the final inning. Florida tied it, and then it went to extra innings. And that game had everything I love about baseball: strikeouts, uh, batters working the count, making the pitchers work, great defensive plays. These outfielders running out there and getting the ball, and it came down to a bunt. And that's old school baseball. That's what we love about the game: speed and those. And I wish both teams could have won. Florida won it, but my gosh, the other team played with as much heart as you can have, and I so enjoyed it. I had goosebumps watching it. I was cheering for both teams. It was fantastic to watch that.
That's awesome. Um, whenever I was in high school, I had a baseball coach who was really into bunting. And I was a pretty good bunter, so big deal. But he he said if I could find 9 bunters, that would be my team. And I thought, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You need about 2 or 3 good bunters on a team. The rest of the players you need to hit yourself some extra base hits.
Yeah, you need a bopper in there. Yeah.
This is the same coach. I'm not kidding you. I was in a sophomore game, and it's the bottom of the seventh, which is the last inning. I get a hit to right field, and then I steal second base, and then they walk the next guy, and so it's first and second, and then the next guy up works a walk, and it's a tie game. And I'm on third base, the bases are loaded, nobody's out, and our hitter's up there, and we're both looking at the coach, and he puts the bunt sign on, and I thought,
What the heck?
what the heck? So I treated it like it was a suicide bunt. I thought, if he bunts through it, I'm going to try to steal home. If he bunts, the only way I'm going to be safe is if I get a good jump. Because you're a high school kid, your bunt is probably going to go right back to the pitcher,
Yeah, right.
Pitcher's going to shovel it to home and it's going to be out. So, and my dad was at this game, which my dad didn't make it to all the games, but my dad was at this game. So I'm at third base, and as soon as the pitcher goes into as I think it's pitching for the windup, even though the base is loaded, I take off for home. The hitter bunts the ball right back to the pitcher. The pitcher shovels it over to the catcher, and the catcher catches the ball. But my momentum sliding into him, I took his pins out from under him. He dropped the ball, and we won. So
Hey.
you're leaving the game, and walking back, me and my dad. My dad said, "Can't believe he bunted." I can't either. I've never seen that before or since, but I was in a situation where there was a bases loaded bunt when the game and it actually worked.
You are the Glenn Brummer of that school, man. The bunt puts the team on the. It seems simple, but everybody's moving. The eternal clock's going, and it's just stress. There haven't been that many great bunters either, and they probably caught the other team by a little surprise as well.
I don't know because usually in a situation like that, there's not signs. Yeah, it's self-evident. You try to get a hit or get a walk, you're not going to put the bunt on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it caught them by surprise. But I'm sure their coach got. We're playing Granite City,
Oh.
Granite City North High School, and I'm sure their coach got in the bus and said, "I can't believe they." So, anyway,
Oh man.
I turned on the Cup game last night. O'Neill Cruz for the Pirates is in center field, and they said that that's where he's going to stay. So I guess the shortstop life of O'Neill Cruz is over. He's going to be a center fielder, although he is DHing tonight. But I kind of agree with it. It's it's hard to be that tall, 6'7", and it's a long way to get to the ground to pick up grounders. It just is.
I
And,
agree.
so I think that's probably a good move for him. He's athletic enough. He's fast enough. He can handle center field. If he's not a great outfielder yet, I'm sure he's going to work on it, become great.
Got great arm, great
Yeah,
arm, and they may have a shortstop coming, or they may have plans for that shortstop position. Sometimes that happens. They move a person because we don't know yet, but something big is coming. So we'll see
yeah.
what happens. I think he made 12 errors, six fielding and six throwing, or something like that, or maybe 24. I know he made more errors than they liked at shortstop
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
And did they let go of McCutcheon? Did they cut him? I thought I
Did they?
heard. Well, Brody told me that, so I don't know for a fact, but he said, McCutcheon. I said, no, they wouldn't let McCutcheon go. So please hold. I'll hold off on that. I'm
You know,
sure that a lot of players are getting
a lot,
DFA'd.
a lot of teams are waiving players or
Yeah,
DFAing players that are older and giving them a shot to latch on with a contender. So they may have done that, but
you know,
if it
I,
did, it escaped me.
well, I heard too that like Montgomery, he's down there with Arizona. Is he with Arizona now? All right, right. I can't remember. They traded these guys, but he had in his contract, if he got so many starts, he got bonuses, and he's getting close to that second bonus. And sometimes they'll take a guy and put him in the bullpen. I hate it is a business. I would I always I have a I guess I'm naive, Vince. I think, oh, you're going to go put your best players out there for the, best chance of winning. But I think sometimes if there's a big, $2.5 million bonus coming, they might shortchange them in a bat or a start here and there. I don't know, but
Well,
I did hear that on some of the talk shows.
the Dodgers DFA Jason Hayward and the Astros just picked him up. So
Oh,
he,
really?
like,
I thought he had a good year. Didn't he have like a
oh, he was batting about 205 for the Dodgers. Nothing
oh,
great,
he's a good fielder. He's good still defensively.
Yeah, he still has his moments defensively. Have you noticed what Corbin Carroll's been doing since the All Star game?
He's on fire. He's found his mojo.
Yeah, in the first 87 games, he had a 310 slugging with 2 home runs. And I was on here and I was talking about how the league's adjusted to him, and he's not adjusted. Well, since January 7th, the last 39 games, he has a 604 slugging percentage and 12 home runs, and he is carrying that Arizona team to another playoff. After I also said on this very podcast that they weren't that good last year, they barely squeaked into the playoffs and they got hot. I don't think they're that good this year. I don't know anything about baseball, so I'm just the guy in his basement who talks about
well,
this crap.
well, see, that's it. We're fans, and a lot of these experts out there, they say one thing, and and see, I admire you for saying, "Hey, I didn't know. I didn't. That was a wrong call," because these experts will just switch. I never said that. Da 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 da. But that's the strange thing about baseball. You can be in a slump, you can be struggling, and all of a sudden, you just get where you can't get an out, and that's happening with this young man. Last year, he looked like he was on his way to Cooperstown. This year. We're like, oh man, he's just kind of an also ran, and now he's on fire again. And he's kind of the catalyst for that team. He gets on base, he steals bases, and he plays a great defense. We may be seeing something special here. And I know Arizona and San Diego are really creeping up on the Dodgers.
Yeah,
So it's
making
going
it
to be
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Vince, I
Uh,
got a story for you.
Go
I don't
ahead.
know if you heard about this, but and this involves the Cubs. Uh, at auction, the Babe Ruth jersey
I saw that.
that Babe Ruth used in the World Series, the one where he called the shot, and there's some discrepancy. Some people said, "Oh, he was just pointing." Other people said, "No, he called a shot." I mean, this story's been going on since what, 1932, perhaps,
I think
and
36. Something.
36, and they were playing the Cubs in the World Series then. and the Yankees won. It was game three. It went up for auction and brought in $24.1 million at auction. That's amazing. The guy who bought it they didn't say his name, but he bought it 19 years ago and he bought it for 1 million. That's a nice investment, Vince. 1 million to 24.1 million in 19 years. It's the most expensive piece of memorabilia ever bought in any sport. The previous record was a Mickey Mantle rookie card, 1952 rookie card, that was in mint condition, and that went for, I believe it was 12 million. So, how about that? The Babe Ruth autograph jersey. And I was thinking, Vince, if there was ever a piece of sports memorabilia and you had money was no option, is there something that you say, I'd like to have that? Is there anything in the whole sports genre that you would say, I'd love to have this particular piece?
There was a sumo wrestler named Akibono, and if I could have that little diaper jock thing that they used to wear up their butts, yeah, that's
Autographed, of course. You got to have it autographed. Well,
no. If I could get a hold of oh
the Tommy
maybe,
Herball?
maybe the last out of the 16 World Series,
Oh, that
that
would
would
be
be good.
great.
Sandberg's second home run of the Sandberg game would have been
Oh,
cool to have. Um,
yes.
Something like that. Shoot, I think I would love to have had the Kyle Schwarber ball that he hit off of who was your left-hander at the time that was really good in the playoffs? He hit that home run on the Budweiser scoreboard.
Ooh, I don't. It wasn't Steve Klein, was it? I'm trying to remember
No,
all our
no, it was
left-handers.
after it was
Way after Klein.
2015. You had a left-hander that had one heck of a season. He was almost unhittable, especially to lefties, and Schwarber took him onto the Budweiser scoreboard. That was pretty cool. They left that ball up there for the next season. They put
Oh,
a
did
game
they now?
left it out.
Oh man. Well, for me, and I had my hero Ric Flair autograph 16 time back there. In the late 80s, he had a dark purple robe. It crossed over in the front and had the tie in the front, and it said Nature Boy on the back. And this is in the NWA days, the Major Leagues of Professional Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance. And he had about 12 of these robes made through his career, and they were made by Mr. Wrestling 2's wife. She was a seamstress, hand stitched, peacock feathers individually put in there on some of these robes. Phenomenal looking. But this purple one was about 1988. Fantastic. And he'd always take that robe off and he'd show the world championship belt, push him do like this to the kids. Get away, kids. He'd take that belt off, show it, hand it to the referee. That robe right there would be the thing I would want more than anything. I don't know what to do with it. I guess I wear it down here to the Piggly Wiggly. Just act like I'm a big shot or something.
Ooh. Oh, oh, I have one more thing. Did you see Nick Marley, the umpire? Uh, Giancarlo Stanton's hitting,
Oh,
and
yeah, he got hit in the neck.
the bat snaps, and he hits the ball. The bat snaps and comes around and hits Nick in the neck and gave him a concussion. It was pretty wicked looking. And I don't know if maybe I'm an umpire. I go with like the catcher's helmet, you
Oh,
know.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, I'm glad that it wasn't anything worse. But to be hit with a bat that's got that kind of velocity from Giancarlo Stanton, and that barrel snaps off and is coming at the back of your head, that's scary.
I give our umpires in our sport a lot of respect. I know we get onto them for messing up calls, but that is so tough. They're dressed in dark clothes in 100-degree weather with all kinds of equipment on, and you've got to listen to people chirping at you. The fans are yelling at you, and then you get hit with balls, and you get just collisions. I mean, this stuff happening all over the place. I give them guys so much respect. That is a hard job. the level that they play ump at is a pretty high level. I know we get onto them and there's blown calls here and there, but overall I think they do a pretty good job. And speaking of Stanton, I don't know if you heard, but the Yankees went back to back to back, and of course it was Soto, Judge, and Stanton, and that is only, I believe, the sixth time. It's not very many times in the history of the Yankees that they went back to back to back, and I'm surprised they didn't have it more this year with those three guys in the lineup.
Hmm.
And the last thing, Vince, I have for us tonight is Joey Votto announced his retirement. And I love Joey Votto. I think he's a good ambassador of the game, one of the all time great Cincinnati Reds. Um, when I went to Cincinnati, except for that 70s Big Red Machine, it was almost the stadium was almost an homage to Joey Votto. Everywhere you went, the big old pictures of Joey Votto, everything. They absolutely loved him. He could have left, but he stayed there even in the bad years and played with the Reds in front of the Reds fans. And I really respected that because I like a guy who sticks with his team. And anyway, we're going to miss you, Joey Votto. What a career. Hall of Famer. What do you think about that, Vince? Because put up some big numbers on base percentages and stuff. I think he's a very good player, but what do you think about his chances at the Hall of Fame?
See, I think in today's Hall of Fame, he's got a really good shot because um, when we were growing up, we didn't know what an OPS was.
No, we didn't.
We didn't put as much credence into walks. Guy walked so many times. Who cares? You kind of pay attention when guys walk like 100 times, but we didn't pay attention to on-base percentage and OPS. Joey Votto has, I think, an OPS of over 900 career-wise. If it's not over, it's pretty darn close. So when you look at it from that perspective, did he have some of the numbers other guys had? No, but he's kind of like a Ted Williams type. He took so many walks. I'm not saying he's as good as Ted Williams. I'm saying that kind of a guy who will take a lot of walks and get on base a lot. And therefore you don't get as many hits or many home runs because you're not expanding the strike zone, but you have a high average, you have a high on base percentage, and you help your team win. So I think he's got a better shot in today's game than he would have if he would have retired 20, 30 years ago.
I like that. Yeah,
And
I agree with you.
always a good glove, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good one.
So what's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, Vince,
Man,
sometimes, yeah, sometimes you don't want to admit, you hanging on. But I've always said this year, I'll stand by what I say. I think we're better than we were last year. Our bullpen is much better, but we're, a 500 team. I always thought we'd end up 4 games under, 5 games over, somewhere in that bracket right there. And I kind of stand by that. We're just not consistent. And it's really, I think more than anything, it's our hitting. Our hitting has been just all over the place this year. We made some moves, and I've got the moves written down. Let me see if I can find them on here. We man, I wrote so small. Oh my gosh. We made a lot of moves. I know we sent Gorman to Memphis. He was just striking out too much. Played a good defensive, but I think we're a better team with Donovan at second. We also sent Walker down. He only came up for a brief time and wasn't played. And rumors have circulated that Mozeliak wanted him to do one thing, and Ali wanted him to. One of them wanted to play more. One of them wanted to be like a spot starter and come in spots. So he's back in Memphis playing every day. I held nothing against Jordan Walker. He's a young guy. I think he'll be back sooner than later, probably next year. But they've really fumbled the ball with how they handled Jordan Walker this year. I don't know if he would have been a 285 hitter this year, but I really honestly do not think Goldschmidt's going to be back next year. Either I see him retiring or us just not offering him a contract. We have so many guys that can play first and fill that DH spot. So, I just see Burleson, Luca Baker, Jordan Walker, some of these guys. It's a shame. We always think of first base as, well, anybody can play first base, but not everybody can play it well. So there'll be Burleson's played some first base coming down the stretch here, and he's done a pretty good job playing first base. And Luca Baker played first base at Memphis. So we'll see. and we may go get somebody. Who knows? But I love Goldie, but this year's just been uh, not what he used to be for this season anyway.
I see the Cardinals. First of all, I wasn't a fan of what they did in the offseason. You're going to revamp the pitching staff. Okay, why are you revamping it with guys who are on the backside of their careers? That didn't make sense to me. I know you want to eat innings because last year that was a problem with eating innings. Okay, well, I the Cardinals have been struggling lately,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're 35 years old, these seasons get to be a grind. You've played through August, and it's getting to still 100 degrees outside. It's hard for older people to keep playing at that level, especially when you're pitching because it's such a physically demanding job. So I didn't want to say it during the off season because I didn't want people to think I was crapping on the Cards, but I did not like what they did in the off season as far as the pitching went. This year during the off season, I do think that uh, Goldschmidt will probably be gone, maybe also Arenado. If they truly believe in this talent that's coming up, you're at a transitional point because that pitching staff's not getting younger. You might as well start fresh, see what you really have on the major league level with this offense, and then focus on getting some young pitching. And I don't think the Cardinals are in a situation now where they're going to be players for any pitcher that has top of the rotation stuff because I
That's
see them
expensive.
in a transition. They've got to find out what they have offensively. The Cubs are kind of in that too. So I see them attracting maybe your middle of the rotation people, but younger, which I think would be a better move than what they did this year. Because Michael is definitely is trending downward. Um, I love Lance Lynn. He's a bulldog, but
He's
hey,
hurt right now.
no respecter of persons. You see Sonny Gray, who's not a spring chicken. He's had trouble the second half of the season keeping up with this pace. Um, and oh, the other guy who can't see on the field,
Kyle
Matt.
Gibson.
No, Matt's. I like
Oh,
Matt
oh yeah.
on the field. And Gibson is what he is. He's always going to be that pitcher who is more of a third or fourth or fifth starter for your
You're right.
rotation. So I I see the Cardinals next year. It kind of depends on if Mozeliak wants to try to prove something before he leaves,
I hope
or if
so.
he's like, for the good of this team, I need to tear some of this down and see what we actually have. Because this bull crap of calling up Walker for a week and him doing nothing and then say, okay, well, that, and you got this thing going on. And let's see, their last manager, Mozeliak,
I
their philosophical differences. It seems that they have philosophical differences with this manager too. Both of those guys were Cardinal people,
That's right.
and I have all the respect in the world for Schilt. Ollie Marmol's just a manager to me. I don't think he's anything great. I don't think he handled some situations, particularly last year, very well at all.
I agree.
Um, the maybe the big problem with this team is Mozeliak. Yeah, could
You're
be. It
well.
could be.
I
Time is
I
just
know a lot of percentage of Cardinal fans would agree with you right there. I always try to stay optimistic and say, well, man, I can't. What would I do if I was in that situation? But I always, this is how naive I am. When I thought us and the Royals were kind of in the same spot last year, were bad years. We went out and both got pitching, and of course they went Walker and Lugo. We went Sonny Gray and Gibson and Lynn. I thought, okay, well, we both went, mid-range guys, but it's worked out much better for the Royals than it did us. Our bullpen, though, is much, much better. And that was the big weak link last year. We would just blow games all year long. And there's about five guys in there, which I'll get to in a minute, that have been just two more have stepped up and really done a good job. So I'm excited about our bullpen. And we've got a lot of potentially good pitchers coming up in the minors. Not your Skeens and those guys, but some solid guys are coming up. So we'll see what happens in the next few years there. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to say something about
I
that?
was just going to say the MVP of the Cardinals this year has been the bullpen. Without the bullpen, they're not relevant anymore. And I know that, they're
Yeah.
Cardinals and Cubs are just kind of hanging on by a thread, but kind of still relevant a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Without the bullpen, you guys may have been facing 85 losses this year.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
um, I did not mind playing the Cardinals because I always felt we could hit their starters. I did not want it to be a close game when your bullpen came in because I thought,
Ooh.
nope, can't hit that.
Oh,
So,
my goodness. Well, and this, I'll mention this too. You know, Wilson Contreras has worked so hard and he's played so well. And I think he's one of the five most important pieces of our team. He's done a heck of a job. I think defensively he's gotten so much better. And he suffered a broken finger. He got jammed. He got hit in the hand. You see this happen to a lot of players. I know Altuve lost some time this year when that happened to him early in the season. I think it was World Baseball Classic or something. He got hurt
yeah,
preseason. And it's just a shame. He's a big part of our lineup. He had been batting about third, which is some people say the most important hitter is your third hitter. Uh, anyway, I say the most important is who's ever at bat at that moment is the most important. But Wilson Contreras has had such a good year. We've loved him, and he's been working with our younger guys. But right now, he doesn't need surgery. That was announced. He doesn't need surgery. But right now, Pages and Ivan Herrera are going to come up and hold the fort down. And Herrera's not a bad hitter, and Pages has really made himself about a 248 hitter. And we talked earlier in the year he couldn't hit the side of a barn before, but played good defense. So he's really come along, and that's been a big surprise. I don't think even the Cardinals had him very high up on the depth chart. So it's good to see him, doing so well for us this year. That's been one of the pleasant surprises.
do you think
Uh,
between him and Herrera, um, splitting catching duties next year, do you think that that would be a pretty decent catching combination? And
I
then if Goldschmidt leaves, you put Contreras at first.
Ooh, that'd be good. Yeah, I want Contreras' bat in the lineup, and I want his leadership on the team. He's a spark plug. He's a guy that he really he'll take you under his wing and talk to you and get on you, or he'll hug you to death. That would be such a bad thing. How's he play first? Is he a good first baseman?
He's played it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I couldn't give you metrics on how good he is. He's a great athlete. He can learn to play first base.
Yeah.
First base is mostly footwork. So he could learn that, and he's a good enough athlete. I think he could make himself a very good defensive first baseman. With the Cubs, he played some left field. Now this is mostly in his younger days. He was a good enough athlete that he could handle left field too. So if you got confidence in your catching, then you could replace the first baseman with your catcher with Contreras and have an all-star type first baseman without a trade, free agent pickup or whatever. But it would be contingent upon if you feel like that you have catching that can hit and that can call a game and that can play defense at a major league level. And I haven't seen enough of Herrera or Pages to know are they that good. I don't watch.
I think by far Contreras is the best hitter of the bunch. But I looked at our depth chart coming up, and the top 30 prospects in the Cardinal organization, five of them are catchers. We've got a lot of catchers, and we do not have a catching. We do have a catching coach. He just hasn't showed up this year. Yadier Molina was supposed to go around and work with the other catchers, and I don't know where the hell he's at. He's on the back of a milk carton somewhere or something. Yadi, we need you. These young catchers need you. Get up here. He's got so much knowledge, and I don't know what the heck's going on, but we haven't seen a hide and hair out of him. He's been missing in action. But we do have Crooks is the next guy coming. So we have trade bait. I know a lot of teams need catching. Your catcher's in a better situation now. You got a newer guy there who's I think better than what you had before. But maybe some trade bait. The Cardinals have always come up with good catchers. That's one of our strengths. Pitching, not so much, but catching, we always come up with some good ones. And Felix Fermin is back, and he's done a real good job with us as little as he played. Comes in like in a pinch hitting role, and Luca Baker's getting a taste of the big leagues. So that's the transactions. And this week, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but we went 4-3, and we've got a real tough part of our schedule. I mean, we got the Yankees coming and the Dodgers. We just finished with them. We got the Brewers. We're going to go back and play the Brewers. It's just a tough part of the schedule. Maybe we just were playing on an easy part of the schedule when we took off and had a good part of the season, maybe. But this week we went 4-3, and we had to play. I wrote so small on here, Vince, I can hardly read it. We played Milwaukee and we played Minnesota, and this last game we played San Diego. Them are some tough teams. And we talked about the Cubs and the Cardinals, and we're relevant, but we're kind of in the middle. But I tell you what, so are the Toronto Blue Jays, so are the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. There's a lot of teams that had high expectations at the beginning of the year, and they're right in the middle with us. So we didn't have so much high expectations, but we thought we'd be pretty good, decent. And that's pretty much what we are this year. But there's a lot of teams. I know Seattle had high expectations. Scott Service lost his job. And the White Sox 2 years ago, they thought they might make the World Series, and here they are, 100 lost team. But anyway, we played Milwaukee, who had been red hot, took 2 out of 3 against them. Fetty and Sonny Gray will probably be 1 and 2 next year, but I hope we get one more, maybe another one, and then Sonny could be 2 and Fetty be number 3, and Palante's done a great job, and he could be around 5 because he's been probably our best pitcher of late. But that was Tuesday. We won. I'm sorry. Tuesday we lost 3-2 to Milwaukee. Fetty has had some tough losses. He went 5 2/3 and gave up 2 runs, but he took the loss. But Matt Carpenter hit a pinch hit a home 2-run homer and got the crowd kind of going. And I love old Matt Carpenter. And they also DFA'd Brandon Crawford. He's gone, and really he didn't do a whole lot as far as on the field stuff. I wish him good luck. He's had a great career, and I think at this stage in his career, he was just hanging on one more year and trying to help a team and try to get to the playoffs one more time. Wednesday we played Milwaukee and won 10-6, and that game was all over the place. We had a 2-0 lead. They tied it up. It was 4-4. Then they were ahead 6-4. Then we tied it up 6-6. And in the bottom of the ninth, Arenado hit a grand slam walk off, and we thought, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. We win a game on a walk off. Gibson pitched, but did not have a very good game. Wynn had 3 hits. Arenado had 3 hits, and Helsley got the win. He's 5-4 now, and Helsley has been one of the stars of our team. I'll talk later. He got his 40th save this week as well, and he's 5-4, and it's just like after the All-Star break, he found a second win, and he's looking fantastic. That break at the All-Star break was good for him, and he's looking fantastic right now. And I just wish he had more meaningful games to pitch in. Then we played the rubber game Thursday, and we won 3-0, and just fantastic. Let's see. Victor Scott had 3 hits. Done much better since he's come back. And Wynn and Burleson had 2 hits. Helsley got his 39th save in that game. And oh my goodness, just playing pretty good baseball. So 2 in a row, and we took 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. And then we go against the Minnesota Twins. And oh, by the way, over that stretch, Jack Buck, it would have been his 100th birthday. So they had a little celebration and remembering of Jack Buck, who's one of the all-time greatest Cardinals. So that was nice. On the Twins, though, we started off on a Friday. We win 6-1, and I'm telling you what, Palante went 7 innings and gave up 1 run, and he's got this new knuckle curveball that, man, he throws in there, it just drops off the table. It's looking good. He's 6-6. I know that's not killing it, but in this last stretch, he's come in and been starting. He's really earned his place in there, and quite frankly, I think he's been our best starter.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this because
he's been pitching it.
Yeah, so keep it up, Palante, and I hope he's in the rotation next year. Saturday we lose 0-6, and we only got 5 hits in that game. And Sonny Gray did go 6 innings, but he gave up 5 runs, and it's been kind of going like that, like 4 of his last 5 starts has not gone well. He goes out there, gives you everything he's got, but they've been hit. They've been hitting and scoring against them. But I want to point out this guy in our bullpen, a guy that's been overlooked because our starters are only going, some of them when they have a bad game go 4 1/3 or 5 2/3. Libator has come out, and everybody's, we traded a Rosarina for him, and of course Rosarina goes to Tampa Bay, becomes this huge star, and Libator is a young pitcher, but in his last 15 and a third inning since the All-Star break, he's only given up 1 run. He's been fantastic as the left-hander in the bullpen. I'm so glad he's in there, and he's been a big weapon for the Cardinals, and he usually goes at least 2 innings when he comes in, so Libator, glad to have you aboard, man. He's really coming through here of late, and we're glad to have him. And Sunday was the rubber game, and the Cardinals won 3-2. And why this game's important, Vince? I don't know if you heard this, but about 2 o'clock in the morning at the hotel, it flooded. It was father and son. All the players had their fathers with them, so you got to take your fathers around. They took batting practice. Jojo Romero's dad hit a home run, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 floors of the hotel flooded, and they had to get all their stuff. Some walked 20 stories down wherever they were staying and had to find another hotel in the middle of the night. And players, families stayed with each other, and they went to different hotels, and it was rough. And it was a day game. So here they are at 2 and 3 in the morning, going to another hotel, trying to get a little sleep, and then they got to play at 1:10. So they were groggy, but I give them credit. They won Sunday 3-2, and we scored 2 runs in the top of the ninth, and Helsley came in and got us 40th save. And Victor Scott hit a home run. Hey, Victor Scott. And the Twins are a good team. Um, there was a ninth inning error, and the Twins are a good team. Second baseman tried to throw it to the shortstop, threw it in the outfield, and they kept the inning going. And then with 2 outs, Lars Nootbaar got a hit to the outfield, and both runs scored. And it's, kind of give us a little rejuvenation there. So we took the series from Milwaukee, we took the series from the Twins, and then the Padres come to town. And Vince, I won't take too long on this, but when you look across the field and you see the Padres, they're just a better team. And I love my Cardinals and I wish them well, but this team is working on all cylinders, and we're kind of putting around and trying to stay in this thing. But my goodness, and they just beat us pretty good last night, 7-4. We got 2 runs late, and we fought them with everything we had. But anyway, Wynn, Donovan, and Burleson all got 3 hits last night. So we hit them, but that bullpen come in and they're electric. So anyway, there we are. We're in third place in the division with the Cubbies in second.
All right. In Cub news, let me start off by saying the David Bodie era has come to an end. For those of you who are not familiar, and I think it was 2018, he was a fifth outfielder or fifth infielder for us. Utility guy, had a decent year, and his agent called the team and said, "Hey, how about an extension?" And they said, "What are you thinking about?" He said, "I don't know, 15 million for 5 years." They said, "Sure." So David Bodie got a $15 million 5-year extension for the Cubs. Most of that time he was spent in AAA. But this was the last year of that contract. He got DFA'd. Luis Vasquez has been called up to the team. We also waived John Smiley this week, and if no one claims him, I'm sure we're not going to DFA him. We'll just bring him back. Julian Merriweather is on the IL. Maybe his season's over. I don't know. Jack Neely's been sent down. He's only with us for about a week, and he had some rough spots. So Daniel Palencia and Keegan Thompson have been called back up, which should give us a very strong bullpen. A bullpen that's been very strong. Should have become even a little more stronger. Palencia could throw 100 miles an hour. If you could ever harness that, he could be a stud. And Keegan Thompson was pitching great before he got injured. This is the last week that you can waive people. I kind of expect that Mike Talkman's going to be waived because we really don't have much of a shot. And Patrick Wisdom will probably be waived. Probably just outright DFA Patrick Wisdom if nobody picks him up. But hopefully someone will pick up Talkman. He would be an addition to anybody. And I kind of thought, well, if we waived him, I think Houston would be a good fit for him. But they picked up Jason Hayward, so I thought, well, maybe not. But I think he would be a good late season pickup for a playoff team. He's been very good for us as that fourth outfielder, and the Cardinals absolutely love Mike Talk.
Oh, he
So,
kills us.
so I also I've been thinking with my GM hat. Let me put my GM hat.
Oh, there he goes. He's making deals, folks.
Um, Next year we have Matt Shaw, who's going to need to play somewhere. Third base, nope. We just got Isaac Paradas. He's going to be our third baseman. Second baseman, nope. Swanson's locked up in a deal. First base, well, Matt Shaw's really not at first base, so we got Michael Bush there. Second base, Nico Horner. He's a Gold Glover. He is what he is. He's a contact hitter and not a ton of power there. So I put on my hat and I thought, okay, what if Bellinger decides he's going to opt in? Okay, so we get Bellinger back. Okay, because it's his decision. So we get Bellinger back, and we are trying to fit in Matt Shaw. We're trying to fit in like an Owen Casey, a Kevin Alcantara. We're trying to fit these guys in because not only are we trying to be competitive, we're like a big zit. All this talent is coming to a head and it needs to squeeze, man. Um, so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we trade Warner, who's got to be the odd man out? He's just not the offensive force that Matt Shaw is projected to be. Um, and Michael Bush,
Whoa.
we package those two for a frontline starter, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Maybe we don't have to dip so far into our pockets for free agency. I don't know. Slide Bellinger to first base Bellinger, second base Matt Shaw, Swanson, Paredes. Um, and then in the outfield, right field would be open, and we could put an Owen Casey in there. And if he doesn't work out, see if Kevin Alcantara's ready. If they don't work out, we can always take Seiya Suzuki out of the DH role and slide him into right field, and then we could piecemeal DH. So if I'm the GM, I'm going to start shopping around Michael Bush, whom I love, but I think he's got a low ceiling for a first baseman. He's not going to hit 45 home runs at best, and I mean absolute best. I'm not saying he's going to be there, but this is his absolute best ceiling is Mark Grace, which is not bad. But
No.
I liked Mark Grace as a middle infielder. I don't like my first baseman to hit 15 home runs. And I think that's what Michael Bush is. He's a 20, 25 home run type guy, 260 hitter. He's going to take some walks, play excellent defense, but I want more thump out of first base. So that was my GM
I
hat.
like that. That's a great plan, man.
But let's get into the games. We had a great week. We went 5-2. Last Tuesday we started with a 3-1 win over the Detroit Tigers. Bellinger had a couple of hits. Swanson had a home run that game. Assad pitched probably his best game of the year. 5 2/3 innings, 1 run. Porter Hodge came in and got the save. So Porter Hodge and Jose Lopez, or Julian Lopez. Gosh, what's his first name? Lopez and Hodge have kind of been splitting the closer duty since Harrison's gone. That's good. So then Wednesday we played Detroit. We lost 8-2. Was not one of our good games. Tyone pitched bad, 5 innings, 4 runs. But in the game, Bethencourt, our backup catcher, who's hitting about 350 since he joined the Cubs, he hit a home run, his fourth of the year. I think his second or third with the Cubs. Suzuki had a couple of hits. So we started since last podcast. We started 1-1, and then Thursday we played Detroit, and then things really started to happen. We won 10-2. Bellinger had 2 hits. Horner had 2 hits. Swanson had 2 hits. PCA had a hit and drove in a couple runs. Amaya had 3 hits. Amaya has been on fire. And Amaya also hit a 6 home run that game. Steele pitched 7 innings, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts, and we really spanked Detroit 10-2. We have Miami coming to town, which is, or we're going to Miami, which is really good because Miami's been terrible since the trade deadline. We win the first game 6-3. Hendricks pitched okay, 4 2/3 innings, 3 runs. Lopez gets a save, but on offense, Hap had a couple of hits. Suzuki had a couple of hits. PCA a couple of hits, and Amaya a couple of hits. PCA hit an inside the park home run,
I saw
rounded the
that.
bases in 14 seconds, and he got faster as he went around the bases. When he passed third, he kicked it into another gear, dove into home. It was one of the most, may have been the most exciting play I've seen this year. And he hit the ball off of the wall. This is a double for most players, a triple for some players, and he turned it into an inside the Parker. He has just got unreal speed. Hap hit his 23rd home run. Amaya hit his seventh that game, and we were rolling. So the next day we play the Marlins again. We win 14-2. Uh,
Woo!
Bush has three hits. Suzuki three hits. Talkman came off the bench for two hits. PCA two hits. Amaya three more hits. Suzuki hit two home runs to give him 18 for the season. PCA hit one over the board, so he's got seven home runs. Wisdom hit a home run in the ninth, but he hit it off of a position player this seventh. So we really put on the offense. And Imanaga, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, only 4 hits. He's now 10-3. Great game. So we're playing the last game against the Marlins on Sunday, and we are just flat. We lose 7-2. Hap did have a couple of hits. Assad pitched 7 innings, gave up 3 runs, so he pitched
Okay.
good. Merriweather 1 inning, 4 hits. I don't know why we have Ethan Roberts in the bullpen, who at that time had an ERA of under 2 of about 1.3. Merriweather, whose ERA is way up there, who has just struggled since he's been off the disabled list. Why, when we're only down 3-1 going into the eighth inning, why would we bring in Merriweather when he's been so bad? Bring in Roberts. You're only down by 1 at that point. He can hold it there, and then maybe you can push together a run or two in the ninth. But for some reason, Council brought in Merriweather, and slow pitch softball hitters. That's what they give up. They give up a lot of runs, but we bounced back last night. We beat Pittsburgh 18-8.
Woo!
Hap 2 hits, Suzuki 4 hits, Bellinger 2 hits, Paredes 2 hits, Horner 2 hits, Swanson hit a grand slam, PCA 3 hits, Amaya 4 more hits. He is stupidly on fire. Aside from Swanson's home run, Paredes hit his 19th home run. We stole 8 bases. Hap had 2 bases. PCA stole 3 bases. And I want to tell you, we had these 8 stolen bases done by the fourth inning. That's when
My gosh.
our foot off the pedal. But the starting catcher for the Pirates, the guy, uh, the young guy with the good arm. Anyway, he's injured, so
Oh,
they had Yspani Grandal, who can't throw out anybody, and so we just basically ran him out
random.
of the ballpark. In the ninth inning, well, Tyone got the win, even though he did give up 4 runs in 6 and 2/3 innings. So he did it. Score 18 runs, you should win. Rowdy Tellez pitched the ninth for the Pirates. He threw a 42-mile-an-hour fastball 14 inches off the plate. I'm not exaggerating. They actually measured it 14 inches off the plate. Umpire called it a strike. I
Oh,
if it
yeah.
wasn't if it wasn't an 18-8 game, I mean that would be the most egregious thing in the world. And we're spanking Pittsburgh again in the seventh inning. It's 9-3. Uh, so we are peaking at the right time. And I know we're only hanging on by a thread. And tomorrow we have a day game, and we face oh gosh, what's that guy who runs
Uh-oh.
Pittsburgh? Scott.
Yes, Paul Skeens, is it?
Yeah, we face him next.
Well, good luck.
But yeah, it's fun that we're playing this well, and that the offense is coming around, and that we're winning some games. But we are playing the weak part of our schedule. We always knew this last 6 weeks was the weakest part of our schedule, so we should stack up some wins. It just may be a little too late. But it's been kind of a fun week for Cardinal Cup fans because we keep trading places.
Oh yeah, I know. It's been fun. It's been fun.
It's
And
been
who knows? I tell you what, there's enough time. Anything's possible, folks. Anything.
yeah. I temper my enthusiasm with we're hanging on by a thread. If we make the playoffs, hallelujah. If we don't, oh well. Uh, you know who is going to make the playoffs, don't you?
Oh, he makes the playoffs every year. That darn Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor is going to make the playoffs. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast.
Welcome, everybody. We have a special guest today, and I'm going to be blowing a little sunshine your way first before I introduce you. Me and this guy grew up together in the Hillsborough area. We went to church together. We played softball together. We've known each other. You've come down to Arkansas and spent a week or two with me down there. An outstanding guy. And I will say this, you are an incredible skater. The church used to take us to church skates. And I was the fat guy. I was 3 out of 10 going straight, but I couldn't turn. So I was the fat guy just playing the pinball machine. But this guy could shoot the duck, go backwards, do the couple skates, all that stuff. And I'd like to introduce my good friend, Mr. Bill Scott. Bill, it's good to have you on here today, man.
Welcome,
Hey,
Bill.
thanks for having me on. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Now, the reason we're having you on here is you have a skill that I think is fascinating. You came from Hillsborough, but you have worked your way up in the world of roller derby. Is it when it's professional? Is it called roller derby? Because me and Vince, when we think of roller derby, we think of like wrestling at the Chase, and then roller derby would come on. That kind of roller derby.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that anymore. I wouldn't say we are professional. We dedicate as much time as the professionals do. I was sponsored I had a couple sponsors, so they paid for a lot of my equipment and some of my travel and stuff like that. So that was the part I was getting paid on, but mainly you're paying out of your own pocket, stuff like that.
Kind of like comedy.
Yeah,
Amen.
Exactly. It is. And I've written some of my good friend JJ do comedy a couple of times, and I have to say he's very good. And Julie, every time he invites me, I try to go down there, but a lot of times I am out of town. I've traveled all over the world playing roller derby, and I'm getting ready to leave again to go to Italy to compete.
Wow.
I think it's fantastic. Now, you're in Hillsborough, Missouri. How did you find out about roller derby? I mean, it sounds like it's kind of an underground sport. I mean, is there a team? First of all, how did you? It's not a college scholarship or anything where you go to colleges and play. So how did you even find out about this world?
Well, it's kind of funny. I was playing. I played softball forever, and I played roller hockey for a long time too. And I actually tried out for the St. Louis Vipers, who were an inline roller hockey, and that 3,000 people tried out. I made the first cut down to 75, and I show up for tryouts and I had taken my quad skates that I used to speed skate on whenever we were teenagers, and I took a hockey boot and I cut the blade off and mounted my speed plates to that hockey boot, and that's what I played roller hockey on. But when I showed up for tryouts, they were like, "Oh, this is an inline league, so you have lines." And I was like, "Well, I can't even skate on inline." So I just bailed out after that. And I played roller hockey on different leagues around St. Louis. It was really big for a while there in the 90s. And then I found 7-on-7 football, which was full contact football, but it was except on the ball carrier. It was two-hand touch on the ball carrier. So I've always been into these contact sports. So I was playing that, and I tore my Achilles tendon. So I took a year where I was rehabbing and getting myself in shape. My sister, who's also a good athlete, was playing volleyball with a bunch of her friends, and she asked me to come play volleyball with her. It was like November, and so I hadn't done anything for a year. getting my Achilles tendon back in shape. And I went and played volleyball, and I felt great. And on my way home, I heard an advertisement on the radio that they were starting a men's roller derby team in St. Louis. And I was like, oh, I gotta try out for this. So I got home that night and got on the computer and got a hold of them, and they sent me a thing, and I joined. The St. Louis Gatekeepers started in November of 2009, and my first start was December 6th of 2009. I joined the Gatekeepers, and I played with them up until 2020. I played with the St. Louis Gatekeepers.
Very cool, man. That's fantastic.
Did you watch roller derby growing up?
I did, and I always thought it would be fun to play. So it's literally, as soon as I heard this, I thought, oh, this is my sport, because I love contact. We played roller hockey. We played check hockey, and I played football, and I played on the line, and it was full contact, and I liked that contact. But it was funny when I first tried out for roller derby. It was like 3 months and we never hit nobody, and I was like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. I'm ready to start hitting people. So once we started hitting people, they were like, okay, you hit like a wrecking ball, so your derby name's going to be Wrecking Bill. So that's how I started my derby name.
Now, Bill, I remember the roller derby, and all I remember was there was a helmet for like the guy who would score, or the lady. So do you have like a men's team, and then y'all take a break and the ladies go out, or is it all men's, or
no,
co-ed?
It's completely different now. At first there was a men's league and a women's league, and now a lot of women are coming and playing with. It used to be the Men's Roller Derby Association, and now they're getting ready to change the name because so many women have started playing on the men's teams, and vice versa. There's some guys playing on the women's team, but a lot of the guys that are playing with the women's are they're trans guys that are so I don't know what you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing on women's teams, but a lot of women play on men's team. And then the USARs that I play, I've won 4 consecutive national championships with our USARs team, and that's an open gender team where you play both women and men together, and you're allowed to put 2 men out on the track out of the 5, 2 women and 2 men, go out their time. They also have a men's league, a men's team, and a women's team as well. And I was, I'm sorry.
No. I just think that's really cool. I didn't know all this existed. This is really cool. I got a question about that. Your schedule. So would you guys travel around the United States playing other cities, or did just St. Louis have all these different teams?
No. We had, so up until COVID hit, there was like 56 men's team across the world. And then where there was a team in Portland, a team in Seattle, 2 teams in California, team in Colorado, a team in Texas, a couple teams in Texas. Florida had a couple teams. New York had a team, Chicago. So yeah, I traveled all over the United States playing these different teams, and they came and played us. But we had, before COVID hit, we had like 44 members on the St. Louis Gatekeeper. So we actually had an A team, a B team, and we had enough people to have local teams as well, where we would play each other. So there was a lot of derby being played for many years for me. Because I played on the local team, and then I played on the men's travel team. I started out in 2009, and I was on the travel team all the way till I finally called it quits in 20. I actually made the travel team in 2020, and then COVID hit in March of that year, and everything kind of reset, and actually Derby shut down for almost a year and a half.
Let me ask you a question, and this is for people like me who don't know much about roller derby. You don't have to go into every little rule. I know there's a jammer, and I know that the basic rule is to try to get the jammer, I guess, all the way around and past people. Can you give a very short layman's explanation of the basic rules of roller derby?
Sure. So there's not as many bank tracks anymore. There's only a few bank tracks around. So most of it's called flat track derby. So you have 4 blockers on the track. One of them is a pivot, and then you have a jammer. So you have 5 members of your team. And at the initial start of the jam, you're playing offense and defense at the same time. You're trying to get your jammer out of the pack at the same time holding their jammer back. So once your jammer gets out, every time they make a circle, and every person they pass, they pick up a point for. And so you're trying to hold the jammer from the other team and get your jammer through to get points. And for a 2-minute jam. And then if you get a penalty, you go to the penalty box for 30 seconds. So it isn't like old school roller derby. There's actually rules. You can't throw big forearms. A lot of the rules are sort of like hockey rules. You can't throw big forearms, except for the charging part of it. You can literally take off. I can take a run at somebody and hit them as hard as I can, as long as I don't throw a forearm up at them or anything like that. Tripping, you can't trip anybody. You can't hit them low. You can't hit them in the head. We all wear helmets now. It's not just everybody wears helmets. Matter of fact, I wear the Mark Messier designed hockey helmet because I had so many concussions.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Now, Bill, am I right? You went to the Olympics for roller derby. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's called the World Skate Game, and it's part of the Olympics. We still fly under the Olympic banner. Like, I have to do all the same drug tests and background checks that all the Olympic athletes have to do. And so, yes, I went with Team USA to Barcelona in 2019, and we won a gold medal. And that's the same team I'm going back to hopefully win another gold medal.
Wow,
very good.
And I'm the oldest member on the team. So there's one guy that's Doc Flatliner, who's actually an emergency room doctor. He is, I think he's 52, maybe 50. He's 52.
He's a kid.
But, and then there's another guy. There's another guy on the team, Quadzilla, that's he's near 50. But after that, they're all in their 20s and 30s. I'm pretty old. So
I tell you what, I applaud that because, a lot of folks our age aren't doing that kind of physical sports anymore. So I admire you and love you for it and keep it up. And they keep dragging you back. Every time you want to retire, they keep going out and say, Bill, we need you. Get your butt back in here. We need you, man.
Well, they did. There were several years where they kept dragging me back. But then the other thing was, one time I was going to retire. We won. So with the St. Louis Gatekeepers, we won 5 consecutive world championships.
Wow.
Because we played teams in England and teams in France and ever. So the Gatekeepers won 5 consecutive world championships, and also won 2 silvers and a bronze as well in the time that I was playing with them. So the one year after we won, so there was a team we had from Doral, we had this intense rivalry with, and we ended up beating them, and they had won. Was it 2? They won 2 back. They won back-to-back championships. That's the year we got silver and bronze one year, but they won back-to-back 2 times, I think. So once we won 3 and beat them, I was like, okay, I can retire. And then they announced that the championships was going to be in Cardiff, Wales, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to Europe. So I unretired so I could go to Europe, and that was an amazing trip. And I got to go to Wales, and I went to Paris and London and taught a clinic in Scotland, and just traveled all over Europe, and then ended up winning another championship. So,
Man, it is super.
Okay. Now, when you're playing, it's a contact sport, obviously. Does it ever get out of hand? I know you said there's rules, but like in hockey, there's a fight that breaks out every now and then. So,
well, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, yes, I've been involved. Now, wait a minute. I've not been involved, but I was on the track when there was 3 fights, and I've never swung at anybody. I was going to, but everybody grabbed me the one time. But literally everybody grabbed me because I was gonna go after a guy. But the other times the fracases started, I was either skating away from it or I was on the other side of the track. So, but our team was involved. But yeah, it happens. I mean, you're playing. For one, we were extremely competitive. I was practicing 3 days a week, 2 hours of practice, plus for a tournament or we'd up that to we'd throw in a Friday night practice where we were practicing 3 hours. We would get together and we would run calisthenics up and down Hard Hill. Plus, I had a full gym in my basement, so there was a lot of time put into winning this. And when you play at people a lot, it becomes intense. It just does.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that a lot. Afterwards, everybody was kind of friendly afterwards. There's not too many of them. There's a few that I don't like, and they know I don't like them. But most of the guys I like, and we get along real well. And just like the Team USA, I'm playing on a team with a bunch of guys I played against. So, we were able to come together. And I've been, especially since I retired from the Gatekeepers, I've been playing a lot of like pickup teams. People with different teams pick me up and I play with them. And so, I'm trying, not as competitive as I was. I mean, I'm still competitive, but just not to the level of it was whenever with the Gatekeepers. Now, when I play with Team USA, I play more competitive.
I have 2 quick questions, just simple questions. If I wanted to go see a roller derby a match, where would I go? Where are these matches at in St. Louis?
So right now, our rival girl, which is women's roller derby team, they're ranked number 2 in the world. They're getting ready to go to champs in Portland, Oregon, but they play their games at Queenie Park, and the Gatekeepers usually play their game at Queenie Park too, and they're ranked number 2 in the world right now. So both teams are ranked number 2 in the world. The Gatekeepers are getting ready to go to Newcastle, England, to play for a championship.
Started. Download the Google Home app on a phone or tablet.
Is that me?
No, my Google, for some reason, about once a month decides in the middle of this show it's going to talk to me. He ignores me.
I thought it was.
I'm busy.
I thought it was mine. I thought it was my stupid phone doing something, so don't feel bad.
Now,
so yeah, right now the Gatekeepers are ranked number 2 in the world, and the arch rival roller derby is ranked number 2 in the world. There's all the team, local teams. There's a Confluence Crush who plays over at Collinsville. They just had a game in Collinsville. The St. Louis team has a B team. They just actually had a team from Texas come up and play the Gatekeepers and the B team, and they played at the St. Louis Stadium last Saturday night, as a matter of fact. I don't know when Arch Rivals gearing up to go to Portland for championships, and they got a good chance of winning a championship, which is a big deal because there's some really, like the Rose City, which is the Portland team, they've won, I think, maybe back-to-back championships. And before that, you had Gotham, New York team that had won several championships in a row. Victoria Roller Derby from Australia is also another well-known team that's won a couple championships. So yeah, the women's side's really super competitive. So
I want to go see a match.
there's a lot
Come on, Vince, let's go.
Yeah. If I'm ever in town, there's two different, there's MRDA, WFTDA, which is what the gatekeepers in our tribal are, and then there's USARS, roller derby. USARS is a little bit faster. You can't go in the opposite direction. You have to keep skating. You can't stop on the track. So there's still big hits, but you're moving. So you're not in a stop position. In the MRDA and WFTDA, there's a lot of like rugby type scrums where you can actually, hold on to somebody and block and dig in and basically come to a complete stop. So there's a lot of grinding in that type. And at 59 years old, I just can't do it anymore. My knees are really bothering me. The last couple times I played with Chicago down at a tournament in Louisiana, and man, I was so sore afterwards. It's just I'm not practicing 3 or 4 times a week with all that type of all that beating on my body after COVID, and not going to practice 3 times a week and not getting beat on like that every night at practice. My body really like that.
I understand.
So that's kind of what made me step away from it. Was I went to my team, the SAT. I won 4 national championships with USARS, and we had numbers of shots at me, and I had a small fracture in my foot, so I had to wait till I got my knee shot before I could get my foot looked at. Luckily, nothing was broken in my foot. It was just a pulled plantar fasciitis tendon. So there's lots of injuries. I lost 70% of my vision in my left eye.
Mm.
I got an infection. I got an infection in it, so I have no peripheral vision. I've had several concussions. I've got knocked completely out in the game. So yeah, there's a lot of toll on your body.
Yeah, I can imagine. With all the contact sports that you've played, football, roller hockey, anything else, what is your favorite that you've participated in? Is it roller derby?
I really liked football. I have to say, I just loved football, and I rushed the quarterback, and I played on the offensive line. I just wasn't big enough. I wish I was bigger so I could have played. I wanted to play professional football. That was what I wanted to do. But skill-wise, I was a really good skater. I started skating when I was a little kid.
It was great.
And I could skate really well. So roller derby, I was able to take advantage of my skating ability. With hockey, I was really good at hockey because I could have my strength. I played defense, but I had a horrible shot. Like I had 0 slap shot. I could pass good, and I had a good wrist shot, but I had no slap shot whatsoever. So it kind of was my downfall in roller hockey. Was I just didn't have the stick skills but now I could play defense, and I could clean. I was like an enforcer, a defensive enforcer. I could just clear people out of the front of the net and keep people from getting to my net. But I really like the roller derby, and it's given me a lot. I've taught classes all across the United States. In Scotland, I went and taught classes. I've got to compete all across the United States. I've also got to go to Europe several times. This will be my 3rd time going to Europe to play. So it's been pretty awesome, and it's given me a lot. I'm trying to get back. I'm since I retired from the gatekeepers, I started announcing roller derby, and people seem to like my announcing. So I keep getting asked back. It takes a lot of time, and unfortunately, they don't want to pay anything. So it costs you a lot of money between travel and hotel rooms. But since I retired from work, I have a lot of time on my hands. So I usually drive and get to see the countryside, and that's what I like to do.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's living the life right there.
Well, I do have one baseball. It's not really a question. It's an observation. I see you're wearing the Cardinal shirt, which is wrong. That's
no.
okay. JJ wears one too sometimes. But before you got on here, your girlfriend was kind of getting things set up. And tell everybody who she roots for.
Oh, she's a Cubs fan. Yeah. She's a Cubs fan. She won't been. I've even tried to get her to a Cubs game unless they're playing the Cubs, zero interest. So,
she's a Cubby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
She's a hardcore.
There's a lot of good Cubby
hardcore
fans.
Cubs fan.
Well, that's cool.
But the good news is she don't give a fuck. So that's why I can keep her.
All right. Well,
She goes to a lot of. She is a Blues fan. She goes to a lot of. I'm a season ticket holder with Blues, and she goes to a lot of Blues games with me when I do go.
Oh, that's
Very
nice,
good.
man. That's cool.
Well, we do need to wrap this up. Thank you. I've learned a lot about roller derby in 20 minutes. I grew up watching it, but not. It was all. I shouldn't say all theater. It was a lot of theater when I was growing up on TV. And
yeah. There's no theater now. One of my very first roller derby bout I played in, there was a YouTube video of me just blowing these people. I got a lot of attention from other teams because of this YouTube video, just because I was just blasting people. So if you ever feel like seeing something, go watch Wrecking Bill Hits Zombie Jesus on YouTube.
Okay.
And you'll see me just lay some people out.
That's Wrecking Bill Kills Zombie Jesus.
Zombie Jesus.
Okay. All right, we'll check it out.
Jesus. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and it's I literally hit everybody on the other team and just sent them flying. It's kind of pretty wild. And I did get in the end, I did get a penalty. So.
Well, Bill, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
We appreciate it. And
hey, anytime. I seriously apologize for last week. My girlfriend puts me to work out here, and it hadn't got dark, and we set alarms today because I was out there working on that chick. Luckily, it was like 110 degrees. I was about ready to have a heat stroke, so I was really ready to come in. But we set alarms to make sure I got in on tonight.
Well, I'm glad you got on.
Yeah, love you, man. You take care and have a safe trip over there, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on. Nice meeting you very much. And Jake, go see Jake. He's a fantastic comedian, man.
Oh.
He kills me.
Very good. All right, thank you. All right, JJ. Thank you for Bill Scott for joining us and teaching us about roller derby, because we were two stupid roller derby people. So.
I want to go to a game. I really would like to go see a match or whatever they're called, exhibition.
A roll.
Yeah, a roll. Let's go for a roll.
Roll. So, JJ, I am opening up the Collector's Corner from Upper Deck 1992.
Oh, I remember those cards. I have the Heritage, which, as it goes back to a classic year. This is 2022. It's got Kershaw on the front, and they look like the 1974 cards, which is when I first discovered baseball cards. So they current players in the 1974 format.
All right. I'll go ahead and
drop
this package, and I'm going to say two Hall of Famers.
Two Hall of Famers. I'm going to go no Hall of Famers.
You always nail
I'm
that.
always wrong. So you'll probably get 10.
My first player, former pitcher for the Brewers and the Mariners, and former Cub pitching coach, Chris Bosio,
Oh, yes, he was a good pitcher.
very good pitching coach too. Former pitcher for the Padres and the Brewers. I think he made an All-Star game. Ricky Bones.
You know what? I have an autograph from him. He was the pitching coach for the New York Mets, and I went down there for spring training and seen a Met Cardinal game. And I was standing over there, and he said, "Hey, I'll sign your ball for you." So I got a Ricky Bones autograph ball.
Very cool. And this guy was a Cub, was a Cardinal, was a Dodger, was an Indian, was an
Oh,
Oriole. This guy pitched for a lot of teams,
wow.
and he does ESPN games. But what I really love is about 3 or 4 times a year, he will do commentation or commentary work for the Cubs. And I love him because he's a fan. He gets mad. He's awesome. Rick Sutcliffe.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, former Indians outfielder Chris James.
I don't remember him.
Eh. Former pitcher for the Padres, Dennis Rasmussen.
Oh, yes. Oh, look at that neck, man. He's straining
Yeah.
right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Former pitcher for the Tigers and Blue Jays, John Cerruti.
Oh, that's a good
Left-hander.
picture. Good picture. He's caught the ball in flight.
Ooh, very good, but not Hall of Fame. The pride of Nicaragua, El Presidente, Dennis Martinez.
Presidente threw a no-hitter.
That perfect game.
Oh, perfect game. Wow, I stand corrected.
Yeah. For the Mariners, Hall of Famer, Edgar Martinez.
Oh, yes, he is. Maybe the greatest DH ever.
Yeah, and I'm so sick of people saying DHs. That's not a position. I'm not going to vote for Hall of Fame. It's a position.
It's a position.
If you play a position and you play it better than 99% of the people who play that position, you're a Hall of Famer.
And he was a third baseman early in his career.
Oh, former Cub, former Royal, former Athletic, Willie Wilson.
Oh, yeah, look at him going into third there. That's good photography, them upper deck cards.
Former Padre, former Red, and former Cub. One of the Nasty Boys, Randall Kurt Myers.
Yes, he made it around the league.
Oh, and this guy was a character, the only pitcher to go to the mound with Yankee Stadium and pitch a whole game wearing Babe Ruth's hat that he spent $25,000 on. David Wells.
Boomer.
Hall of Very Good. Should have been a Hall of Famer, but one of those guys that had some issues, turned his life around, lives in St. Louis now. Darryl Strawberry.
Oh, that's a great picture. Darryl Strawberry was so good.
Yeah.
My gosh, first 5 years, he was phenomenal.
That would be someone to get in Caledonia.
Oh.
Get Darryl Strawberry as a local guy. Yeah.
I'll put that in Brad's ear.
Well, I do have another Hall of Famer because they're two brothers, Pedro and Ramon Martinez.
Oh.
Look how much taller Ramon is.
Yes. Ramon Martinez was my favorite pitcher for a couple of years. I really loved watching that guy pitch.
And for the Angels, infielder Donnie Hill.
Yes, I remember him.
And JJ, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he was completely overrated. Ted Williams?
The great Ted Williams. My personal hero. I love Ric Flair, Ted Williams. One and two right there.
I'm not going to count that one as a Hall of Famer because it's a specialty card. But hey, two Hall of Famers. I'm very happy with that.
Very good, sir. Well, those upper decks had a beautiful look to them. The photography really advanced, but these heritage cards from 2022 go back to the old photography, just a real basic. This guy here, his name is Helmut Ramos. He is an outfielder for the Giants. And I'll just show you that card right there. It's got like a little silhouette of a position, and it just looks like an old-time picture from, when I say old-time, 1970s there.
Elliot? Ramos? Huh? Elliot?
Yes.
The guy who's an all-star this year is going to be a stud.
Oh, really?
I love.
I don't.
play about 6 times this year, and I thought, I like this guy.
Well, see, I didn't know anything about that guy. How about that? Texas Ranger catcher Mitch Garver, who's had some good years, and Texas is right there on the bubble for the playoffs again this year. Are they fading? I don't know. I can't remember. There's so much action going
They're
on.
pretty much
Okay.
tanking.
Uh,
Didn't Garber get traded to the Mariners?
I don't remember, Vince.
I
There's
think he
so
did.
much activity.
Yeah,
I've kept track of him here and there. George Lopez of the Twins, he's a pitcher, and that's the Twinkies red uniforms right there.
nice.
A guy who was a big guy, a lot of teams wanted. The Cardinals were one of them. Carlos Rodon, and now he's a Yankee. First year with him, he was hurt pretty much a year, but he's a big part of that rotation now. A rookie performer, Matt Manning from it's a rookie card of the Detroit Tigers. And the Tigers, although not a good year, a 500 club, just like pretty much us, but they got a lot of good young players over there. I'm excited to see them in the upcoming years. Um, man, I'm hitting a lot of Twins. This is Johan Duran, a pitcher from the Twins. Or it was in 2022. That was his rookie
Like the
card right
glove.
there. Yeah, I do too. It looks like it's like a celebration of something. This guy here, outstanding. The Reds have some good young pitchers. This is Nick Lodolo. I saw him pitch up in Milwaukee, and that's one of the Reds' young pitchers right there. They've got about
Yeah,
three really
I
good
read
young
that
ones.
he injured one of his fingers and is out now,
Oh,
like just
okay.
yesterday or the day before. So
Well, there's no rush to bring him back. You know, the Reds are
yeah,
kind of in that middle group with us. And oh my goodness, this guy here is a catcher from the Rangers, Yohel Pozo. I don't know if he ever caught on or is still in the big leagues or not, but there's his card. Seems like I got a lot of Rangers and Twins in this pack right there. But anyway, it's kind of neat to see today's players in the 1974 format right there. And that's my pack.
very good, very good. Well, JJ, we're episode what 97?
97. Get your follows in and win yourself some Tommy Her merch from the A Boy's Dream Hobby Shop. And on the 100th episode, like Vince said, this is 97. The 100th, we're going to be giving away some Tommy Her stuff from the Caledonia Memorabilia Store, which you should go down there and check out. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time with some of the all-time great people we've had on this podcast.
And
And
us.
yeah, we're not chopped liver.
All right. Well, JJ, you have a good week, and
You
we
too,
will see
sir.
you next week.